Hi everyone, so welcome to this post-match analysis of the French Open finals between Nadal and Ruud. First of all, a huge congratulations to Rafael Nadal on getting his 22nd Grand Slam title and also his 14th French Open title and his second Grand Slam of this year, back-to-back Grand Slams. I think he's one of the very few players who have been able to win Australian Open and French Open back-to-back. So huge achievement. And to Ruud also, congratulations on his first ever Grand Slam final. I think he's still a very young player and he's going to get into multiple finals. He has a good game for clay court. He has good topspin, good forehand, good backhand, and also a decent serve and a good net game. So let's hope to see him more in the future in the finals. And the whole match, I think, was we all knew that Nadal was going to be the favorite throughout the match, and he started off really well. Ruud was seemingly nervous at the beginning of the match, and that was quite understandable because it was his first Grand Slam. He's playing against his idol, so a lot of things on the cards, a lot of big names in the crowd, legends in the crowd, even politicians in the crowd. So obviously there would have been a lot of pressure on both these players. But because Nadal has been in this situation a lot of times, so he was better equipped to handle that pressure. And then again, once the match started, I think Ruud uh, got into the match in the latter part of the first set, and in the second set he actually had a break against Nadal. He was 3-1 up, and I think at that point of time I saw that Ruud relaxed a little bit. He started hitting balls more deeper, getting into more rallies, which actually favored Nadal because Ruud has got such a good forehand with a lot of spin and good consistency. Maybe he should have attacked more at that specific point at 3-1, but that wasn't the case. He relaxed a little bit and it gave an opening to Nadal. That is what Nadal wants, just an opening. And if you see the whole match, if you analyze the whole match, the points which had five or less shots were dominated by Ruud early on, and that is what he should have continued in the second set after 3-1, but that didn't happen. And slowly, I think Nadal understood that fact and he was hitting more deep balls trying to open up the court, but he was the one who was actually dictating the play after he was able to break back in the second set, and that was the crucial juncture for me. I think if Root would have been able to stay aggressive and get that second set, the match would have been more closer. However, I still feel that Nadal would have been able to win in 4 or 5 sets. But I think good match overall for Nadal. For Root, I think maybe he could have been more competitive in the third set, especially where he lost love 6. But again, it was his first final, and against Nadal at French Open it is very difficult for any player, even with Djokovic or Federer. So I think well played to Ruud in his first final. And let's look at some of the stats. So the first serve points one, I think that is where it's very important. And as I had mentioned in my previous video when I was doing the preview, I think the major weakness that Ruud has in his game, especially that comes up against Nadal, is his backhand down the line. Whether it is in as part of the rally or whether it is the return of serve, I think that was the issue. And Nadal exploited that issue to the full extent, even on the deuce code or in the ad code. He consistently went to Ruud's backhand. When it was the ad code, Nadal went sliding down to that side with his serve, and it was very difficult for Ruud to control that ball because of his weakness on the down the line backhand. He tried to do well, and I have to give some sort of credit to Ruud because I think he handled his backhand pretty well overall. In the cross court also, I think he was hitting it with a lot of spin, and that is why Nadal was not able to take that much advantage, be that much aggressive, because he was not hitting it too flat. So that was good from Ruud. But again, over time, because it's a long match, if you don't have a good backhand down the line against Nadal, it is very difficult to win the match, and that was evident. So, and that is why when you see the first serve points won, it's 82% for Nadal, because whenever he was getting his first serve in, Ruud was most of the times not able to return the serve, or even if he was able to return the serve, it was sitting down in the middle of the court for Nadal to attack from his forehand and then win the point. Whereas if you see Root's percentage, I think 53% points won, still not good enough for me. I think first serve percentage points won has to be somewhere around 60 or 65% against Nadal if you want to win the match. So that was not the case. And when we see the winners and unforced errors ratio, I think Nadal played a very clean match. You can see 37 winners and only 18 unforced errors, so a very good healthy ratio there. Whereas if you see, compare it with Ruud's statistics, it's 16 winners and 26 unforced errors, so negative side there. And also it was evident that after the Nadal's comeback in the second set, Ruud, I think, had lost it mentally also, and that is where a few more winners would have come from Nadal. Uh, and the net points one, I would say 47% for Ruud and 65% for Nadal. So again, a healthy percentage for Nadal there. So overall, good statistics. I would say for Nadal, it was a very clean match. He started off well. He kept on playing well. In the second set, I think Ruud became more aggressive. He was using his forehand, running around a lot of the backhands and being aggressive with the forehand. So that really helped Ruud gain the advantage in the second set. But again, then the moment he got the advantage, he relaxed a little bit. And we would also give credit to Nadal. He stayed there, and that is what he always does. He stays there in every point, in every game, and he lets the other player win the point, win the match. And if the other opponent, if the opponent relaxes a little bit, that's where Nadal anticipates that, he grasps that information, and then he uses it to his advantage. So huge victory for Nadal. And the key factors, as I've already mentioned, Nadal's clear pattern of play to attack Ruud's backhand cross court. Nadal was very happy just to play that pattern of play, multiple balls, balls after balls to Ruud's backhand, and Ruud was not able to dictate play because of his backhand on the line weakness. Now, Ruud's inability inability to capitalize on the 3-1 lead, of course, that was the turning point. And I think the open roof conditions also helped Nadal to generate more kick off the court. Now, when the match started, the conditions were overcast. Even though the roof was open, the conditions were overcast and the ball was not bouncing that much. Conditions were heavy. But as the match progressed, one could see the sun coming out and the court becoming a bit drier. It provided more kick to Nadal's forehand, and it helped Nadal. Although, if I think Ruud would have been more aggressive with his forehand, it would have also given more speed to his shots. But that was not the case. He was happy to sort of rally with Nadal, because I think that is also Ruud's natural game, from the baseline to be involved in longer rallies, whether it is forehand or backhand, just like David Ferrer or any other baseliner who is very good from the baseline. But against Nadal, I think you have to change your tactic a little bit, and that was the whole scenario. So, talking about the significance of this title, I think that is a huge title for Rafael Nadal. It gives him two Grand Slam advantage over Djokovic and Federer. Federer is almost 41 years of age. We are not sure how many Grand Slams he would be able to play. And for Djokovic, I think if he's playing well, Djokovic has the chance to get to 22. But again, looking at Djokovic's form, it's highly unpredictable. And I'm even not sure with the COVID guidelines and rules how many Grand Slams he'll be able to play. He has already said that if he is not allowed to play, he won't get vaccinated. He will be still remaining unvaccinated, even if he is not allowed to play a Grand Slam or any tournament for that matter. So that really raises a question of how many tournaments he would be able to enter. Let's hope that COVID is not there and he is able to play all the Grand Slams without getting vaccinated. But for Nadal, I think two Grand Slam lead is a big lead at the moment, because all these players are above 35 years of age, and it's difficult to win one Grand Slam. Nadal knows that. That is why he has been saying constantly in his press conferences that he never know. He's still not sure whether he'll be able to come back next year or he'll be able to play many more tournaments, because that is how unpredictable and difficult it is at that age to predict something or consistently play multiple tournaments. So that is why I think two Grand Slam lead is a big lead for Nadal. And 14th French Open title, back to back Grand Slams. Also, a very important thing that I had mentioned earlier, Nadal will rise to number 3 in the ATP rankings next week. So that would help Nadal at least to go deeper into the tournaments. Whenever he's playing any other Grand Slam, he will make sure that he plays into at least semi-finals or finals with Djokovic, or for that matter any big player. And he is not uh, forced to play a quarter final or a fourth round match with the likes of Djokovic, because it was French Open. It was a bit I would say easier for Nadal in terms of likingness of the court. But if it would have been Wimbledon or Australian Open or US Open, I think it would have favored the other players if Nadal would have to meet them in a fourth round or a quarterfinal match. So I think giving the ranking number three, Nadal will at least make sure that he'll play those guys in semifinals. So that would be helpful. A new point added to the GOAT debate, of course, any Grand Slam title that these guys win changes dynamics. Now, for years and years, I think Federer was the one who had most number of Grand Slams, and I think all the pundits and experts were saying that number of Grand Slams is one of the biggest factors in the GOAT debate. Now, if you go by that, obviously Nadal is leading that debate right now. Now, last year I said the same thing about Djokovic because he was uh, at he equaled the Grand Slam count at 20. He had a great chance to win his 21st at the US Open. He also had a chance to get the Olympics title, but he was not able to do both. And then at the Australian Open, he was not able to play, not able to participate. And even in the North American swing at Miami and at Indian Wells, he was not able to participate. And here he lost to Nadal. So I think things have changed a lot over the past year. And now it's Nadal clearly in the ascendancy in terms of the titles. If we want to bring that as the biggest factor in the GOAT debate, last year, because all the three of the players were tied at 20, I felt that Djokovic was definitely the GOAT because his game, I still feel his game is overall better than Nadal in terms of whether it is forehand, backhand, volley, serving. He has multiple options throughout for all the four courts. Of course, on clay, Nadal is unbeatable and he's the best clay courter the game has ever seen. But in other Grand Slams, overall, I think Djokovic is a better player. But if we now talk about the records, Nadal has more records, the best record for the Grand Slams, and he's still there. He's still continuing. And if he is able to play Wimbledon and at the US Open also, I think US Open Nadal has won quite a few times in the past 5 or 6 years. So if there is no big player, let's say Djokovic is not there at the US Open, or if he is not playing that well, if he's just a slight bit of out of form, I think that would definitely favor Nadal. And if he's able to play throughout the end of this year, Nadal, and able to win one more Grand Slam, I think that would seal the deal for him because 23 Grand Slams, three Grand Slams at the age of 36, that's a huge lead, and I don't think Djokovic will be able to surpass that lead if Nadal is able to win or and get to 23 before Djokovic wins another Grand Slam. And for Djokovic, I think it's really important for him to summon all his strength to get again, focused on the Grand Slams. Wimbledon is around the corner. Djokovic has performed really well at Wimbledon. He has beaten Federer a lot of times, Nadal a lot of times. So I think that is the best opportunity that Djokovic has. If he is able to get Wimbledon, then it will be 21-22. So really close deal there. But if somehow Nadal is able to play at Wimbledon and play well, and if he's able to win Wimbledon, Nadal, I think definitely he would become the GOAT. But let's see what happens. Now, will Nadal be back at the French Open next year? That is a big question. All the commentators and the experts were hoping that Nadal would give a hint in his post match presentation, but he just said that he would try his best. He's not sure, and I think that is what he should say actually, because he wants to play as much as possible, but then he never knows what would happen in the future. So I think that is the fair comment that he made. So I think coming back at the French Open would depend on two things. One is of course fitness for Nadal, how fit he is, and second is the confidence. So if he is able to win a few tournaments before the French Open next year, I think that would build his confidence. But if he loses consistently with top players or a top 10 player, maybe he would feel that he doesn't have enough to win the Grand Slam again. So, two factors, fitness and confidence, will decide whether Nadal will play the French Open next year or not. For now, I think he should not think about it and he should just completely focus on celebrating this huge success. And I think he should play at Wimbledon. If he thinks that he hasn't got much time left on court, he should definitely play Wimbledon and try his best there, because I think Djokovic is very vulnerable right now and he's not in form. Having beaten Djokovic the way he did Nadal in this tournament, I think if he has to face Djokovic again, I think confidence wise, Nadal would be a lot of